You've tuned into Stranger Than Fiction News, broadcasting live from the dark side of the planet. Wherever people go these days, they're getting irradiated, and the dose at times is much higher than you would expect. According to bioinitiative safety standards, anything above 1 milliwatt per meter squared is dangerous, and we're getting readings 10 milliwatts, 20 milliwatts, off the scales, ladies and gentlemen. Just hardcore radiation everywhere. And of course, the mainstream news and the fake government have become belligerent with their assaults on public safety. You saw that quite clearly with how they handled the COVID and the virus. They knew it was coming. They knew all about it. They told people, oh, it's just the flu. You don't need a mask. Just wash your hands. Even though it was airborne, they played down the dangers. And they attacked everyone that dared question their narrative, ladies and gentlemen. And that truly is a sad story, to say the least. Now, the reason that they are the fake government is because they don't give people a real choice when it comes to candidates. It's just their little crew, their little group of Republicans and Democrats, and they give you this illusion of choice. But there is no choice. It's a fake election, and therefore it is a fake government. But these death towers are real, and the damage they cause are very real, ladies and gentlemen. And you can see it wherever you go. Dead trees, dead birds, dead bees, and now people are dropping dead and they say it's the virus. Is it the virus? Is it something else? We don't know. But there is quite a bit of research, including major government studies, that conclude that this radiation causes cancer. The Interphone study, for all the fact checkers out there, a 10-year government study, and the rats were coming down with rare cancers, and in the control group there were none. And it's just study after study. We could bring up the white papers. We've got our fair share here. You can just look at the bioinitiative safety standards and look at the guidelines there and the research that that's based upon. It's no joke. This radiation is no joke. They can call it whatever they want to, but it's only the lobby for the telecoms that are promoting it's a safe, technology narrative. And of course, since they've got a huge budget to show up on television and on socialist media platforms and even, buy out a lot of these government agencies that are supposed to protect us, despite their major campaign to silence the research is still there, and people's concerns are still there. And it's rather disgusting and disturbing to watch them laugh away people's health concerns when there's plenty of reasons to be concerned. Here's just another example. Look, Wi-Fi off, and the plants grow normally, like they were intended. The Wi-Fi on, nothing. So the people that would say that this technology is safe haven't done their research, and they don't want to have a real debate. They just want to insult you and bully you and make you afraid. They, attempt to control you through fear and intimidation, and they'll silence you and the like. But, how dare they laugh away people's health concerns when there's a mountain of white papers out there? And obviously all of the results that you see on, socialist media platforms right now are absolutely, skewed in favor of, this telecom lobby. Not sure what the video guy is doing. Must be on vacation. Obey, ladies and gentlemen. Obey what the television tells you. Obey what the fake government tells you. Obey what, 322, how fitting that was, 3-2. Obey what the Skull and Bones tells you out there. Otherwise, they may activate the virus in your zone. Don't question authority, ladies and gentlemen. Don't question what's going on out there. And in any case, we're getting reports of radiation levels just through the roof. Video guy's so fucking fired. But see if we can find this video. I'm not sure if we're going to find it again. But this one is coming from Australia. But it's very much the same way wherever you go. We've measured in many different places. We've seen measurements in many different places. And right now, it's pretty much, you're being bathed in it full time, ladies and gentlemen. And, the numbers are through the roof. And if you understood the science here, you'd be concerned. It wasn't like this before. We didn't have a death tower, on every street corner before. But now we do, and the radiation is off the scales. And there's no telling what impacts this will have on long-term health and public safety. But they don't even want to have a debate about it. They don't even want you to have a vote or a say on it. They just want to deploy these death towers so that they can cash in and pay for whatever, A lot of cities are becoming dependent on the payout from the telecoms. A lot of the, media companies are reliant on the technology and the advertising dollars, and they certainly can't afford to speak up about it. But people can. People can speak up about the dangers here, and they should speak up about the dangers here. You look at the readings in many places, it's unhealthy according to bioinitiative safety standards. And this is based on, scientific research. It's not based on somebody's opinion. And you don't think that people would be making such a big deal about it if there wasn't a mountain of scientific research. You don't think people have better things to do? You don't think people would rather be playing, PlayStation or watching movies or going to the beach or something? But they've seen the research. They've seen the cancer clusters at the schools. They've got meters, they're measuring it, and they're connecting the dots. And that's why people are getting upset, and they don't even want to talk about it. That's how free you are. You can't talk about it. It's not an issue. Everybody just, accepts the bribes and says it's safe. But that nobody wants a death tower in their neighborhood, not these elected officials, not Trump or Bill Gates in Palm Beach. They don't want these death towers anywhere near them. Nobody wants a death tower in their neighborhood because it's going to bring down the property value, not to mention other things. But you can't talk about it. You can't have your say on it, ladies and gentlemen. And it's very disturbing, to say the least. And, they're hiding them everywhere. If they're so safe, why would they hide them? Do you want to go to this church? You'd be surprised how many churches are irradiating you now. And they're still asking for money from their parishioners. Getting dosed isn't enough. They want you to support their cause. And you just have to wonder about a church that sells out like that. I don't want to pass judgment on them, but I can't imagine doing that. And it might seem attractive, $2,000-$3,000 a month, and the government tells you it's safe, just like this virus. They told you it was safe. No need to worry. Until it became catastrophic, until it became a Fukushima. Ladies and gentlemen. And so, obviously there's a lot of reasons to be concerned. I know we got more video. Just seems like the video guy's on vacation. How's everybody doing out there? Is anybody out there right now? Anybody out there? Looks like we got a few of you. We're on the backup channel. It's tough these days. I want to give a big shout out to everybody in the audience. Peter, Ben, Lego, My Ego. What's going on? Jake, what you doing? Hammond. David Mortimer, what are you doing? Yeah, video guy. Don't even ask. Don't even ask what the video guys do. We had something prepped, but it, the software is just so messed up. San Francisco software. Never get it. Unless you have to. Yeah, this isn't even how it's supposed to be, man. This is so gay. This is so San Francisco. It's so gay. It's not even funny. There you go. That looks a little bit more like what it's supposed to be. What else we got in the lineup? Yeah, this is just bullshit. It's just bullshit, ladies and gentlemen. That's all we can say. More of the same. It's very difficult putting on a show these days. Not like it really matters anymore. I think people have gotten the picture. But we're going to continue to strike fear into the heart of this beast system as long as we can. It, becoming more and more difficult to hack the matrix these days. But it's important that we continue to do what we can. And, I also want to give a big shout out to our administrator on Facebook, Bella Marie. She does a wonderful job, and you never get to hear about it. You never get to hear about her. And she's a sweet girl from Australia. If anybody out there is from Australia, you might want to look her up. But technically, Miss Bella Marie is... What is going on with this video guy? But Miss Bella Marie is my friend. That's a girl. And she insists that I call her my girlfriend from Australia. Now, we've never met in real life. But it's important that all you ladies know that. Because if you're sending messages through the fake book, I'm never going to get it. She's locking me down. She's worse than the deep state. There's no escape. Mass surveillance. And it's a good thing she doesn't have death towers at her disposal, because she'd probably activate a few as well. But there we go. That's the look I was shooting for. And it just took forever. Remember who rolled out these 5G death towers? We'll see if this administration pulls a Darth Vader at the very end and just throws the Empire into the black hole. But right now it's looking dark and twisted out there at 666 Pennsylvania Avenue. And, we could go down the list. I know a lot of people are hoping, that they succeed. We all hope that they succeed, but, I don't think they're ever going to lock Hillary up. I don't think they're ever going to do their fucking job. Instead, they're rolling out the death towers and the like. It's just tough. I mean, it seems like every New World Order country let this virus in. And while it's easy to blame the Chinese, because, it booted up over there. We've got all the documents. It's their virus. But you have to remember that all of these countries knew this was happening, and they did nothing to help you. And they always gave you the worst information. That's why they're a fake government. They can talk about fake news all they want, but it's a fake government, and it's a fake system. It's fake money. The whole thing is fake. All these people on the internet, they're fucking fake as well. And it's just, it only gets worse from here, obviously. With these death towers and the eugenics programs, it's only a matter of time before they enslave us all, ladies and gentlemen. Well, in fact, they have enslaved us all. That's the whole point to this pyramid on the back of the dollar bill. You're a slave to New Babylon. That's what you were freed from, and that's what we were freed from as a country. And people, little by little, started getting brainwashed. They abandoned their faith, and they went right back into slavery. Read the 10 Commandments. Read the book of Exodus, and you'll see, ladies and gentlemen, we were freed way back in the day. Imagine an empire like, Egypt, and it's got all these slaves, free labor. You think you're going to let them go? What are the chances that anyone would let their slaves go without a war, without a fight? Must have been something, huh, ladies and gentlemen? Must have been something indeed. Where, oh where did the video guy go? But obviously a lot of people, are pushing back in their own way against this beast system, against these death towers. Some people are protesting peacefully. Some people are burning these towers down to the ground. Now, obviously, there should be, obviously some type of representation, some type of vote that occurs before people get irradiated 24/7 by this technology. And whether you feel it's safe or not, it's really besides the point. I mean, all of these, death rays are traversing your body at the speed of light, and they're causing damage. You might debate how much damage it's causing. A little bit, a whole lot. But it's entering your body, and it's causing damage without permission. And that's rape. And in this world of Me Too and all of that, you would think that rape matters. Does it matter that they're raping you? It should. So here's a look at a 5G setup in Lake Tahoe. Now this guy is like way, across the street, pretty far away from these death panels. And, he's getting dosed worse than the microwave oven. But basically, people are walking around right now in the equivalent amount of radiation as a microwave oven. And, it's one thing if you get a small dose of it. It's another thing when it's perpetual, when there's no escaping it, when you're always in this kind of synthetic environment where you've got all of these beams racing through you and causing damage. And I think that there should be, a debate on the deployment of these death towers, and people should have their say. This technology worked in the 90s. They didn't have death towers on everybody's street corners. They didn't have death towers hardly in your town. It was like outside of town, like a television, broadcasting antenna. And if there was like one or two in your town, I mean, that was pretty much it. You didn't need one every 200 feet. But now they're everywhere. And of course, people are going to want to debate, well, more towers, more speed. Sure, yeah, but people need to be able to opt out. It's not because the dumb shit down the street wants to download something, at an insane speed on his phone that everybody else should get dosed because of that. There needs to be a debate when it comes to, should you get violated by the telecoms with their radiation? And, there should be a debate. Just like on everything else, people should be able to discuss this. Now, unfortunately, you can't discuss it anymore. All of the search results are basically skewed so that you only see like positive things about 5G. They've erased, deleted, anything that might be negative, and they've buried it. You can't find it. And they do it on purpose. They don't want people, to spend their time researching the harmful effects of this radiation. And it's disingenuous. Just like, how they set everybody up with this virus. They're like, oh yeah, it's just the flu. It's no big deal. And, while basically the peak of the epidemic was happening in February, they were pretending like nothing was going on. And it wasn't until, the tail end of everything that they decided, to lock things down. They made sure that everybody was infected. We don't know how many people died. We don't know about, many of the things going on with this virus because they keep lying to us. They never tell us the truth. We don't have the real numbers. We don't have the real information. But, there's a lot of things that can be said about the nature of the outbreaks when we compare what happened in China and Iran and America, it looked very selective in America, where it seemed a little different in other countries. Look, I mean, people can hypothesize on, on the reasons for that, but it's very suggestive. And, that's just the tip of the iceberg as far as this story is concerned. The one thing that we do know is that, these people are out to get you. Who are these people? It's the man, it's the system, it's this beast system. They poison the water, the food, the air, they're irradiating you, they're starting endless wars, they're trying to suck up patriots and ship them off into war zones. And, they leave, everybody behind, they leave people on the street, they just use them like a vampire, if you will. They just suck the life out of you and, drain you of everything they can, tax you for everything they can, and they hoard it for themselves, and they screw everybody else over. And it's, it's a very parasitic, toxic system run by evil, deceitful people, to say the least. And the whole system is corrupt. I mean, we need a major reset in this country. We need to restore our republic. Have you ever had to restore your hard drive because it's been corrupted? That's what's going on with this government. It's a fake government, and the elections are fake. We see that they rigged the primaries. There's no real candidates out there. It's always the same people. You get to choose from the same pool, the same gene pool of 322 chromosomes, if you will, and that's the only choice you get. And that's a very sad, scenario. We don't have free elections. We have rigged elections. And if the elections are fake, that means the government is fake. And if anybody out there thinks that they haven't been planning a Trump presidency since, the Back to the Future franchise, you better think again. This has all been pre-programmed. All of this is programmed. And, you're made to basically fall for it again each and every time, And so, people just go, with the flow, with the entertainment on television. They feel like, like things are somewhat genuine enough to participate and to get involved. But it's all part of the illusion to keep people, hypnotized, at bay from asking, real questions about what's going on out there. And the situation continues to get worse and worse and worse. Now they're spraying you like bugs. Now they're irradiating you. And, what's next? What genocide comes next? Ladies and gentlemen, how's everybody doing out there? Anybody out there? Matrix Universe, I see you. Ben, what's going on? Lego my ego. Yeah, well, look, we're on the backup channel. Most of the action's on the fake book. And hopefully we'll get the other ScrewTube channel back, in about a week, 5 days or so. So it's, it's a little less fun in the chat right now. I appreciate everybody hanging around and, watching these videos with us. But the evidence is clear. There's no denying the fact that you're getting dosed with an insane amount of radiation right now in your urban environment. Now, if you think that's safe, I mean, that's up to you. But, clearly when you go out into the country, into the natural world, you're not exposed to this kind of radiation. Certainly not in the long term. Certainly not sustained doses day after day. And you just have to wonder, what are the ramifications of that? Long-term studies, seem to suggest that this radiation is carcinogenic. And if we're not mistaken, the World Health Organization has classified this as a possible carcinogen. So there's not a question about, whether this is safe or not. It's a question of how safe is it? How dangerous is it? But for people to say like there's no risk, no danger associated with this technology is, another story. altogether. You don't know what they're smoking. But obviously it must be, the telecom reefer madness. They pay so good that you just better not mess with their thing. But, people are paying, a heavy price. We see studies that suggest anyone living within 1,400 feet of these death towers is at a higher risk for cancer. That's a real risk that people aren't, fully aware of. And now they can't even escape. And that really kind of begs the question, we're all now exposed to greater risk so that, a few exclusive group of people can make more money. And I don't think we really need all of this radiation. People don't need this, amount of, bandwidth for their phones. Now, you might be surprised to learn that this really isn't for your phones. They're using, subscribers and people to boot up the infrastructure in terms of investment. But all of this technology at the end of the day isn't going to be for people and their phones. It's going to be for robocops, driverless cars, drones, surveillance, and the like. So essentially, we're watching the walls go up around us. This is a geofence. That's really the reasoning for this rollout, this grid-like rollout of this technology. It isn't for people and their phones. It's for the toys of tomorrow. And it's basically going to be like Skynet out there. And that's a very, dangerous thing. That's a very dangerous thing. Because we've all seen the movies. We know where that road goes. You can see, people like Elon Musk trying to roll out the brain chip, trying to, jack everybody into the matrix. That's a very scary prospect. You really have to ask yourself right now, which side of your head do you want them to insert the chip into? Would you like it on your right side or your left side? Why don't you think about that for a second? How deep, do you want that in there? And soon it really won't be a choice. At first it'll seem like it's only going to be for those that want it. But eventually, once enough people get it, then it'll be mandatory. You won't be able to, ride the subway or, go through a door without your brain chip. It'll be mandatory. And they're trying to make it that way for, for these smartphones. Now they want you to get the app, for traceability and the like. So, soon you won't be able to opt out of anything. They baby step you into this, new paradigm. It's called moving the Overton window. And little by little, we're devolving into the Borg. And it's just, going to get worse. But I think that, people should be made aware of, what the exposure levels are in their cities already and where they plan to take it. With the next phase, if you will. But we've got, a few new videos here as far as, what people are getting exposed to. And, we're seeing more protests. We're seeing more people, get concerned about this, obviously. But the numbers are now becoming, rather high, even in mid-sized towns and little places. But they definitely target vacation spots. They definitely target where people go, like church, like grocery stores, parking lots, even playgrounds, beaches, and the like. And every tourist spot now is hardcore irradiated. And this is a very unnatural situation. It wasn't always like this. When we were growing up, for most of us, we weren't being exposed to this level of radiation. And this is a real, threat, a real danger to everyone. And, there should be a debate, and there should be, more testing before they roll this out, the way they're rolling it out. Because what if, right now, there's a lot of studies saying that this stuff is dangerous, quite literally. And now what if in a couple years they discover, oh, well, in fact, this was really dangerous, not just a little dangerous, but really dangerous. Shouldn't we slow down this rollout just to make sure before it's too late? Why are they in such a hurry? Why does it have to roll out, this massively right now? So there's a lot of questions to be asked. And, anytime people are trying to censor you, you should be even more, skeptical about what they're trying to do. If they were so sure that, everything was fine, why do they have to censor people? They don't want people to see what they're getting exposed to. They don't want to have the conversation. Why not? And, we're seeing this occur just way too often now. Censorship has become basically the norm versus, exceptional. And at first it was like, oh, it's just for the terrorists, it's just for the haters, it's just for the racists, it's just for, those people, right? And then all of a sudden it's like, now it's for the environmentalists, now it's for the patriots, now it's for, humans. And so they baby step you there. And that's why it's important that, you don't tolerate any bit of it. If it looks bad, it is bad. And that's it. You can't tolerate any of it. You can't tolerate, misdemeanors. You can't tolerate felonies, because it just leads to more, counter or antisocial behavior. And so, it is important that we respect our constitutional rights. It is important that we respect everybody's human right to live a life that's, unmolested by radiation as much as possible. And, if the environment becomes as synthetic as the food, what hope is there, really? So, and I think that's the point. I think they're just trying to kill everybody, and this is just the best way to do it, best way to get away with it, because it's slow kill. There's no direct cause and effect. So, it's just another day here in the studios on the front lines trying to, make some interesting points, talking points on, what's going on. And I hope that, you can incorporate these talking points into your life and, organize a resistance in your community on 5G. I mean, this is a real, heated topic right now. And you should hand out flyers. You should organize with people and try and, stop 5G in your town. And, it's a wonderful way of making new friends. And it's also a wonderful way of showing that, you don't want to go quietly into the night. And I can't imagine, people just sitting by and watching these new death towers show up and not do anything. What's more important? What do you got that's more important in your life right now, really, than, trying to give back to your community? Shouldn't you want to keep your community safe? Shouldn't you want to protect all the little kids? All these little kids in the elementary schools and the nurseries and preschools and the like that have a death tower next to them. I mean, these kids can't defend themselves. And the libtards that are, basically drooling over these kids, grooming them, they're not going to protect them from anything. It's really up to the citizens to protect, the children of their community. And if you won't do it for your neighbors, which is understandable because they're all pretty much dumb shits these days. But if you won't do it for your neighbors, do it for the, for the young ones who are still innocent enough, where it matters. And there's no telling, what this does to their development, what this does to their brains, in terms of the wiring. But we see, people or children being more and more, autistic, distant, if you will. And, I think that this is, one of the biggest crimes of the century, how the telecom industry just basically, bought its way into, total control of the media and politicians when it comes to, regulating this industry. They're in total control of the FCC. They're in total control of policy when it comes to these things. There hasn't been a major revision to the standards since the 1960s, quite literally. And the guidelines that they're using at the FCC are literally 60 years old. So there's been a lot of science and research since then, and they don't even want to have a debate on it. They don't want to let cities basically object to these towers due to health concerns, even though insurance companies won't cover them anymore. They won't cover the liability associated with these death towers, even though the insurance agencies say that 250,000 telecom workers get overly exposed to these death towers every year. They suffer burns and other types of damage. Even though, there's just a mountain of evidence, nothing will budge. Why is that? It's the same reason why when there was a mountain of evidence of this virus coming in, people dropping dead, mass quarantines, et cetera, they did not move a muscle. They didn't do anything really to protect you. So what is it like when there's like a tidal wave of doom coming at you? What makes the government just kind of like run away and hide and pretend like nothing's going on? It's like Katrina, it's like many other things in our history. When the disaster strikes, they're nowhere to be found. It's only afterwards that they show up and they're like, oh yeah, we got to take your rights away. Like 9/11, like, they let the planes dance around the country forever. They didn't do anything. And it's like, many other Gladio B events. It's like these people were on the watch list, or these people were, FBI informants, et cetera, and all of a sudden, they go shoot up the place. The suspect disappears, never to be seen from again. All of a sudden, you got this magic legislation that shows up, and it's like, oh, we're taking your rights away for your safety. Just like what they did in Canada here. And it's so criminal. And they can call it like, oh, well, it's there to save people's lives. How many people does government kill every year exactly? Wouldn't we be safer without, big, powerful federal governments, warring against each other? And so, government is probably like the biggest killer. And, where's the call to disarm them? Silence, crickets, nothing. They wouldn't even dream of such. Why would you do that? Statism is their religion. So they want to empower, their church, the church of the Antichrist, the church of the devil. They want to empower, their beast system while stripping you of your rights, stripping you of your humanity, stripping you of your faith. And, the entire system is predicated on that, from, preschool to, to college. It's all about, turning you into a zombie, into a troll, into, some vessel for demonic spirits, quite literally. So I'm not sure what else to add there. I think we'll leave it there for this broadcast. Appreciate everybody tuning in. And, big shout out to everybody out there. Till the next time, ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to this, you are the resistance.